Sergeant Clifton Ray Rabbit Brown, United States Army, Vietnam. I interviewed Sergeant Brown the same time I interviewed Sergeant Vance in September of 2008. Abington, Virginia was September 8th for this interview. And he joined the military at a young age and found himself in Vietnam about the same time as Sergeant Vance, 1967. Saw a lot of combat, folks. As you can see it in their faces and in their eyes. But he, like I said, was a sergeant. He received the National Defense and Vietnam Defense Service medals for his actions and a couple of other medals. So he was there in the thick of it, folks. And he was 11 Bravo Infantry. I mean, it doesn't get any better or worse than that if you're a soldier. So, but I'm sure he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorders like a lot of the veterans did when they came home. We lost Sergeant Brown 2021 at the age of 75, February 14th, Valentine's Day. So he's been gone about 3 years, a little over 3 years now. But his story lives on. I'm so grateful, thankful that we can honor him through this video and listen to him on my radio station after it airs here. So I just want to thank you folks for watching and listening, subscribing to this channel, and those of you that help donate and sponsor some of my stories. I hope it can continue into 2025. I think by the grace of God, I will continue, and it's only by the grace of God. So just like anything else, it's a labor of love, capturing courage on camera, and it's been an incredible journey for myself. So, but let's honor Sergeant Brown, and just share these stories. If you can share with a friend or another veteran, a lot of people have been helped, healed through these stories. They really, so much has happened from this documentary series called Lest They Be Forgotten, which is now Voices of History on my YouTube channel. But just share these stories. I think somebody would maybe want to hear them. Get them into the hands of our kids. Our kids need to learn the history, folks. If we don't learn from our history, we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. So important. Voices of history. God bless it. Yes, I thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. So, okay, I'm going to be quiet. Let's listen to Sergeant Brown, and I will talk to you in my next broadcast. God bless you.
I was 66.
Were you drafted?
No, I joined 3 weeks before I got out of high school.
Why did you join the military?
I wasn't doing too good in school.
That's a good reason.
So I joined. I know this was going to get me anyway, so I went ahead and joined.
What did you know about Vietnam at that time?
Nothing. Nothing.
And you were just young, 17 maybe, or?
I was like 18, because I'd missed, a couple years of school on account of my health.
And you went into the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Where was your basic training at?
Fort Hood.
What job or MOS did you have in the military?
I was an infantryman.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you go through basic training. Is the talk that you guys are going to Vietnam, or how did you feel at that time?
Well, they didn't say it. Never did say Vietnam. They always said you going across the waters. When they was training us, because they really put us through it, and we was going across the waters.
You remember basic training?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Did you ever get homesick, or was it like you're ready for the adventure?
Well, yeah, I got homesick, but it was ready for adventure too, see. Yeah. And I was an old country boy, and I was in the sticks, and I felt sorry for some of the other guys, and they couldn't run, they couldn't do nothing, So I was really enthused by what was going on,
Well, tell me about your arrival into Vietnam. Just Did you come in on a plane? Tell me what you saw, what you felt, and about the geography of the country, what you remember.
Well, when I first got there, I really didn't know what to think. It just, it looked like anything normal at Cameron Bay. But then they turned around and sent us out at what they call Titty Mountain Base Camp. And the second day I was there, they sent a couple of us out on the road to check out the buggies that come through, the little bicycles and stuff. And that first day, some dude over in the little old village cut down on us with a machine gun. And that was my first experience. That was about the second, third day I was there. And that really broke me in good.
You realize you're not at home no more.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And my buddy scared me to death. He jumped up and run. I fell in behind the log. He dropped. His weapon started going off. He took off and run.
So was this your one tour in Vietnam, right?
Right.
What year again was this? 66?
That was in 66 and part of 67.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, that incident there, tell me about the first time you remember going into combat where there was a conflict or a small arms fire. Or just describe to me your first engagement with the enemy.
Well, first time with the enemy, we set up and, make a long story short, I was on LP one night and we were getting ready to come in and the guys was making a sweep, And I looked out and here come a bunch of gooks coming in. Well, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, they started coming in. We grabbed their stuff and started running, and we run into the guys that come out to make the scoop. So we got in, And then, they were surrounding us. They had to drop bombs around us to get the guys off of us. And they shot, I believe it was 6 helicopters down in the middle of the perimeter that day. Some guy got into a tree out there, and he was climbing up that tree inside of it and shooting them as they come in to get our wounded. And that was, the first experience, but there's been several times that they, would shoot at us and stuff, attack us, but not like that day. They was out to get us that day.
You fighting the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese, or who?
Yeah, we was fighting the Viet Cong. Mm-hmm.
I'm interested for many reasons, but I've done a film on Vietnam already.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to a lot of men who've served in Vietnam. A lot of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress.
Yes.
After all these years, but it's interesting to me as a young man going to war, fighting for your country. When you're in combat, are you conscious of fighting for your country, or is it just survival?
It is, to me, it was both survival and thinking about my country. See, as far as when you get in there, you don't think about nothing except what you're doing it for. It was sort of both as far as toward me. I didn't really know nothing about combat when I went.
Do you think there's things you learn in combat that maybe you don't learn in training? Is it like on-the-job training when you're there? You just do it? I mean, how do you
definitely. Definitely. You learn, when you're in combat, you do learn what you got to do, your skills, what you got to do to take care of you, to take care of your man. You learn that a little at a time as you go. But as far as them training you, they done a good job training you as far as sending you over to keep your cool, build your body up to take what you got to do. But as far as, it's just the way it was, I reckon. But
Tell me about the uncertainty of combat and just the fear, if there's fear in combat.
Well, there's fear all time in combat, but after you're over there for a while, it just gets like that's all you're for. You're there to take care of your man and take care of yourself, see. But that's all you think of, and it's sort of like eating, you got to eat. So if you're over there, you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself and take care of everybody else. and that way you survive. If your man helps you, you survive. But if you get to thinking about other stuff, you lose your concentration on what you're there for.
Are there any specific? Okay, let me ask this question. Did any of your friends get wounded or killed during this tour in Vietnam?
Yes, definitely.
Were you with them at the time? Can I ask you? Maybe you could give me a.
Well, I'll give you one example. This guy, we got hit that day, I told you about. When we got in, we got jumped behind a bunker, and this guy was laying beside of me, and they were mortaring us and trying to shoot us from the outside too. And they had to drop a bomb, and a piece of that bomb come in. And I told my buddy, I says, I got to get out of here. I got to get back over my bunker. He says, no. He says, you can't make it across there. And I said, well, I'm going to have to try because I got to get back over there. And I started to crawling away, and they dropped that bomb, and a piece of that bomb come in and caught him right along here, and he was laying right where I was at. So, you know, but there's a lot of guys that got killed, you know, in that day. And as far as being out going through, like some people be on point, there's just a sniper would shoot them, and a lot of them had stepped on, you know, bombs that there's booby traps that they'd set up, and they got killed.
Well, when you first go to Vietnam and you see this, it's a shock probably, but does it get to be commonplace and just like this is just life now, or does it always bother you when you see these things?
Oh, I don't watch much TV on, you know, anything like that, because I have too many dreams, you know. Well, matter of fact, my wife quit sleeping with me because I would go into these sure things, kick a wall and everything. At times, you know, I sleep now. I don't sleep in a bed. I sleep on a couch in the corner. It's where I've all slept for the last long time.
But when you're in Vietnam as a young man fighting, do you get hardened to these things? Is death, it's around you.
Oh,
My point is, do you ever get used to it?
well, not really get used to it, but you get where you are. It don't bother you as bad, you know. As far as seeing somebody dead, it bothers you, but not as bad. I've seen highs like, okay, for instance, went out one time and there sat these gooks. There's 6 of them sitting in a row around, and they were eating, and we had to drop napalm on them, and they're sitting there all slumped over, just dead. But you know, they're just dead, you know. And after a while, your man gets hurt. That's what bothers you the most. Is when some of you guys get hurt, you know, or something like that. You got to live with that. So, you know, you think, well, maybe if I'd done this or done that, they might, you know, or so and so done this or whatever. But you do get sort of used to it.
What rank are you at this time?
Well, I was a sergeant, but I never did get my rank. A Brown got my rank. He also took my R&R. I've got papers to prove it. A Captain White I went into when I left Vietnam. He said, they put your uniform on. He says, put your uniform on. And I went in, the first thing he said, you're out of uniform. I says, no, sir. He said, when I'm about to present you, I know you're out of uniform. But anyway, he checked it out. He's going to give me a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. And he checked it out, and a Brown took 2 R&Rs, and he was getting my pay. And I was going to get it back. He said I had to stay over there, but they wouldn't know way I was going to stay. When I got back to the States, I tried to get it, and they wouldn't recognize it. They wouldn't give it to me. So I was supposed to have been a sergeant.
Were you like a squad leader in Vietnam?
I did for a while out in the field, yeah. I was squad leader for about, I guess, month and a half.
So, Rabbit, walk me through like a normal day, if there was a normal day, if you guys are walking in a column and line? Are you advancing? Are you defending a position? Are you doing search and destroy? Just take me on a normal day.
Okay, we take like a normal day. We get up, everything, throw all of our bunkers, tear them down, and everything, and go. And we're search and destroy, and we just go. They give us, which way we got to go. And sometimes, as we was going, we'd be, attacked by just not many, but be attacked. And then, as far as that day, we'd go, 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 go. And then that evening, we'd stop around 5, 6 o'clock. We'd set up, dig bunker holes, and fill sandbags and fill them up. And they would tell us all about what was going on. And then the next day is practically the same thing, except for the times that, they might attack you of a night.
How close did you ever personally get to the enemy? As close as you and I are now?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Was it hand to hand or just?
No, it was like they'd be, like that day I run in, they were running in, see, and they were right behind us, and they were about to catch us. And the guys that come out on, making the sweep, they got them. We jumped in a bunker, it was in the ground. We jumped in there, and the sweep people got the ones that's in behind us. Because them little fellers, they don't care. I've took a many bottle of little old pills like this, a little old white pill. They'd take those pills, and they was indestructible. They were like, no, I don't care. For example, my bunker, this guy, was the same day we got attacked. I finally got to my bunker, and this guy was standing there, and he had his weapon up. It jammed. His 16 is jammed. There he stood in the bunker. He was like this, and here come this guy running in, and I jumped in the bunker, going to, but when I did that, the guy next door, he shot him with a 16 caliber machine gun. And that guy blowed all to pieces. I never seen that before, but he did. He just shot him. What he done, he fixed to detonate himself to come in. He was giving up and shaking a flag and all this. But, of course, everybody thinks the same. You out there shooting us all day, killing your man. You ain't going to let no dude walk in like that because you know what he's up to.
This is over 40 years ago. These memories are still pretty vivid in your mind.
As far as sitting and thinking, you definitely in my mind. Uh-huh.
Now, did you hear about my work in the paper or on the TV, or how did you hear about this project?
I've heard about you before, and as far as me, I read it in the paper. Mm-hmm. Actually, my sister showed it to me, and
Did she encourage you to talk to me, or did you just want to call me?
Well, she said, "Won't you call him?" Mm-hmm. Now I thought about it. Then, well, yeah, okay, I'll call him. Just see what's what.
Have you told your story before like this?
No, I hadn't told it to except one girl. She aggravated me to death. She was at school and she had to do an essay, mm-hmm. and she come to my house, and I talked to her, and she didn't. I don't know where she mentioned my name, but she was just telling some things that what might have happened in Vietnam.
Why did you feel like you wanted to talk to me?
Well, a lot of people don't know what's going on, and a lot of people don't even know that people around here was in Vietnam. I have never, as one person actually come up to me and said, shake your hand and thanked you, except for my parents.
That's a shame, isn't it?
It is.
So when you're over there,
Yep.
rabbit fighting in Vietnam, what are you thinking about at night when you go to sleep over there? You thinking, I might not live the next day? Do you think like that, or what's your mind on when you're going through Vietnam?
Well, yeah, you think as far as the next day that if you go to sleep, you might wake up. You might not wake up, and then you think about, well, what am I going to do when I get home? You start thinking. You think about home, and you think, what am I going to do when I get home? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this. First thing I'm going to do is beat me a big old steak, or something like that. That's what you. That's what keeps you going, and your letters and stuff people send you. That's what keeps you going, and then once you get to going that day, you concentrate on what you're doing, where you're going, and all about that as far as keeping yourself in shape to do what you can do.
Did you ever feel like you might not be able to make it through that tour, or you were pretty confident that you could make it?
Well, there are several times that I thought I wasn't going to come home because, for instance, one time we were traveling and we was in 3 rows, the outside row got off, and but anyway, I kept going. First thing I know, we was getting shot at. My buddy was on point, and I was behind him, and the first thing I know, he went that way, and back here, everybody else went this way, and here I am right here. I hit the ground, but anyway, I started crawling, and some dude he was in a tree too. He was in that tree, and every time I'd move, he'd open up, and he'd throw dirt in my face, My buddy was laying up on the hill. I could see him, but he would not move. He wasn't moving. And I thought, well, he done dead. And the rest of them had went on around this way. If they was gone, they wouldn't be here, me and him. And I finally backed up. I took my pack and all off. I backed up and crawled all the way around here and went up there to where he was, crawling behind him, and got a hold of his leg and shook it. Oh, I could have killed him. He turned his head around and went, shh, I'll get him in a minute. And I could have killed him dead. Because I thought he was already dead. But he got him. He was in that tree. Then we backtracked and he went back over into where we were supposed to go. But that was one scary day, I thought I was gone that day. But there's been several instances like that. I thought, well, okay, it's it.
Are you prepared mentally to die?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you're in a situation like that, you got to be prepared, because if you think about living, you're trying to think about living and you're not concentrating on what you're doing, you got to go ahead and do it and say, well, if I die, I just die. But if you concentrate on living, you ain't going to do some things that you do, see. Because if you did, you probably get killed quicker, instead of going ahead and do what you think you should do.
Did you ever think about where you'd go when you die back then? Are you a religious man, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always thought, well, first do what I do, I guess, first me, I guess I'll go to heaven. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was there a lot of pride about Vietnam, what you did? You hear some stories because they call it an unpopular war and all this stuff. Did you feel a lot of pride about when you were actually in Vietnam?
Well, no, not really, because it was a political war to me, because everything in the United States was going great. I mean, for as what I heard, and for as letting us do to win, they wouldn't let us do to win. For instance, we were down at a little creek one time. Here come this gook bopping through the woods. We seen him. I reached over and grabbed my rifle right quick. And the guy got up and said, no, don't you shoot him. I said, what do you mean? He said, they'll court-martial you. I said, I don't think so. Oh, yes, they will. He didn't shoot you first. Then they'd have what they call a day of peace, And we'd sit and watch them carry all their equipment in. And that's something I didn't like. I've sat and watched them bebop down. We'd been up on the ridge something. We'd watch them go down through the valley with their stuff. And they would carry it in. Then the next night they'd use it to attack you with. But you couldn't do nothing about it, And they'd get our guys, some of them, they'd do different things to them, you know, and make them look bad and all this. But we weren't allowed to do that. And as far as the war, I believe if they'd let us done what they should, and I believe if you're going to fight somebody, fight them, you know, not play around with them, you know. But they wouldn't really let us do what we wanted to do, is my opinion, you know. But
So we've talked about some of the combat that you've had, the things that you were involved with. Maybe you've already told me, but was there a more difficult battle or engagement? Maybe you've already described it already, but or does it kind of all seem like the same thing? Thinking about all your combat, is there anything that comes to your? Maybe you've already told me the toughest combat that you've had.
yeah, I told you about it, but everything that you always expected to be somebody to attack you. You know what I mean? But anyway, you was, like I said, you had to concentrate on what you're doing. You had to be ready for it. You know, you couldn't get your mind over in yonder somewheres, and, you know. But that, and I told you about a while ago, was the worst one, where they had to drop the bombs around us to keep them off of us. That was the worst one, where they shot the helicopters down in the perimeter. That guy's in a tree. One guy shot them helicopters down. He shoot those rotaries. Down they'd go. And we tried, finally, they just took and, I think they bombed the tree and took napalm thrown in on them. They dropped napalm all the way around us. You was talking about scared to death a while ago. We was on LP and moving our camp. I was had malaria, and I'd get in, it's taking me back out, and I was at one of the little base camps, and they were moving it at the time, and they put me on LP, and they moved everything out, and we was out there, and our radio wasn't working right. So we knew if we went in and they followed us, that we'd be in deep trouble. So we stayed out there. They started blowing, they got napalm barrels around their perimeter. They started blowing them up over here. You know, they blow them up when they leave. And there we was. I told my buddy, I said, we got to get out of here. I said, they're going to be blowing this one up over from us here in a minute. Well, long story short, we waited. Went partly way in, you know, see what we could see. And they blowed it up, me and him both. There was a log over from us. We got in behind that log, laid down in on it, and that napalm, it went everywhere. And neither one of us got a bit of napalm on us. That's the day we went in. Everybody left except us, and we went in, got in a chopper, and it crashed. It went down. That's the day that I had the helicopter crash, and it burned up. And I got documents to show that, papers.
Was that a Huey helicopter?
Yeah, there's a co-pilot and a pilot, and 4 more of us on it. And it crashed. And luckily, me and my buddy the other guy was, I guess I can't remember his name. We were the only 2. And I was sitting there. There was a tree right up beside of me, like so. And I was sitting here like this. And that tree had caught my arm and everything. And and I could have that belt, I couldn't get loose. And I finally took my foot and drug a machete over and got hit and got my belt cut loose. And I didn't see nobody. So I crawled out and trying to get the co-pilot out. He was plumb out. But anyway, I looked up and here come my buddy right over from me through the woods. He went right on past me, didn't say a word or nothing. There was a creek. It was on a hillside, and there was a creek down there. And he just went on down through that creek, went out in the middle, turned around and come back. I thought, uh-oh, I'm by myself. He turned around and come back, and he helped me get the co-pilot out and the pilot, and we went down and carried him across the creek, laid him over on some rocks, went back. But that time, the chopper's on fire. We went back and got all the others. There was 2 others. We went back, and one of them was under the chopper. But anyway, we crawled on that chopper and hit a burning. and everything. And we got them out and drug them over there. And I said, well, we're supposed to, you get on one side and I get on the other. And we did. We had a M16 and had a M79. He had the 16 and I had the 79. I had one round. And my 79 was busted. I sat there and looking at it, it was busted. I said, well, at least I can shoot it. What it's going to do. They don't blow up until they circle so many circles. And we sat there, and finally they come and got us. But every one of them people lived. That's when I got my Bronze Star, because we saved all those guys' lives and what we did to do it. Because all them rounds caught on fire, the claymores, and the chopper burnt completely. And we crawled in under it while it was on fire. It was setting up like this, the tail was up in the air. And one guy was underneath it, and the other guy was over the side of it. We crawled under it and got him. That's when you do something you don't know what you're doing. When it's all over with, you think, what did I do? That's why I say you can't think of something over yonder. You got to think about what you're doing and save your buddies, you know. And that was a real bad day for me and them others too.
They all survived.
Every one of them survived.
Was it because of what you guys did?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Every one of them was out. They was lifeless.
They would have burnt in the chopper.
Oh yes, definitely. And reason we got them out, that's the reason, you know.
Boy,
Yeah,
that's.
saved every one of them.
Can you tell me now, you were flying to an LZ when this happened?
Yeah, we was flying they'd set up a new LZ, and we were the last choppers out because we was out on LP, see, and we were the last ones in, and the chopper was waiting on us, see, and we got on hit. That same day when we started in, there was a chopper picking up what they call what's made out of, I don't know what they call it, a bundle of, real big bundle where they fill it up with stuff. And I don't know what happened. He got it up and started off with it, and it caught on fire. He dropped it. When he dropped it, the rounds and stuff started going off in here. When me and my buddy started in, we run and jumped in a bunker, and one of the rounds come over and hit the top of the bunker and blowed the whole top of the bunker off, and neither one of us got a scratch. I mean, it sort of deafened us, but and then we went and had the helicopter crash. We done real good that day.
Well, what was hitting the helicopter? Small arms fire?
No, what they had done, I reckon, something had happened when he picked it up. I don't know what happened to it, but he got up there and it started smoking, and they seen it, and when they dropped it, it sort of like exploded. There was claymores and rounds, all kinds of ammo in it, see. And see, that stuff would blow up, and it caught on fire. I had some pictures, but they all got burned up. But
That's quite a story, Babbitt.
yeah,
Wow.
it is all, the truth. I seen people tell me stories that I know wasn't the truth.
Well, I wouldn't know why anybody would doubt what you just said. You got a Bronze
Yeah.
Star out of it.
Yeah, I got a Bronze Star.
Do you remember the name of the pilot or anybody? Or do you ever stay in touch with these people at all? Or no?
No,
But they were all taken out on another chopper?
yeah, they come and got them. Well, they carried them out. They carried them out, then put them on a chopper, then took them to the hospital. But everybody lived. The chopper, the pilot, co-pilot, and the other two guys that's in there with us. They ended up living, but we carried them down over the bank through the water, and the water was up to here. I forgot to tell you, he said, well, I went down to see how deep the water was. Then he turned around and come back and helped me. Yeah, and I've got documentations, where they rewarded me the stuff.
That's quite a story, man. Were you and the other guy were a couple of troops that were just being taken somewhere?
No, we were out in the 4th Division, see, and we went in really. Well, I was on Mallory. We went in to help them to move out. We were helping them move.
So
Is what we were doing.
what Army division and unit were you with again?
I was in 4th Army Division.
Is there a company or a platoon that you're with? Was it like K Company, or was there a company designation?
1st Battalion, or I
Okay.
believe it's 1st Battalion, 4th Infantry Division.
And what was your rank again?
Well, I was E3,
Okay.
but I was supposed to be sergeant. And I tried my best to get them to give it to me. Well, Captain White wanted me to stay over there, and he could get it for me. But as far as that, I tried to get it, and then they sent me letters for blah, blah, blah. You know, you ought to got it before you come over, back over. And me, I was no shape to stay over there. I didn't want to do that.
You're carrying an M16 most of the time then?
Well, I carried an M16 to start with, then I carried an M16 over and under, grenade launcher, and a 45. That's what I carried.
Well, when I asked you how close you got to the enemy, were those times where you guys were shooting at each other, or what was going on? I mean, if you see the enemy that close, do you just shoot them, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't shoot these running behind me, but the guys in front of me did. Yeah, they were shooting too. We were running, see. And it was just two of us. We jumped in the foxhole. Is an old foxhole was out there, and they were coming on sweep. As they'd probably got us, they hadn't been coming out. And these guys here laid down fire on these here. And after got everything taken care of, we all went back in. We got back in because they had the radio, and they called and told me we was coming in. And when they got in, everybody, the whole circle was surrounded.
What does LP stand for?
Really, I don't know. It's where you go out and you're the first ones that come contact with anyone comes in.
Okay.
You're the decoy, I guess. You got to keep watch. You got to stay out there all night and keep watch and listen. And if you hear anything or expect anything, you know, you call back in and tell them, or they call you they call you every so often to see if you're awake.
So is that called walking point?
No, I don't know exactly what that LP means.
That's okay. That's fine. So you did have an interaction with the helicopters in Vietnam. You went in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I sat down in a Chinook. I put a lot of stuff on a Chinook. It got up and just sat down in a bunch of trees. They put too much stuff on it.
What about okay, you were there a year, and then tell me about coming home. Do you remember your last day in Vietnam? Tell me about your last day in Vietnam.
Well, my last day is like I was excited and very excited. And one of my buddies, Harper, we went over there together, and we went to Cameron Bay, processed out, went to Cameron Bay to get on the plane, and we were over there waiting, and they were going to put us on detail. They were going to make us fill sandbags. All right, they put us in bunches, okay? So my bunch went this way. When they went through here, there's rows of huts. When they went through there, I took off down the middle of the hut. I says, I ain't feeling no sandbags. And went around there, and so help me, when I went around the corner, who was coming around the other corner? Harper was. The guy, I hadn't seen him since I got over there. And he come through there and coming around the corner. He looked at me and I looked at him. We both said, I ain't feeling no sandbags. But that was a good day, you know.
So your last day there? Tell me about your last day and then going home.
Well, my last day there, when I went to get on the airplane, it wasn't really the but anyway, the guy was getting off of it. I felt so sorry for him. You know what I mean? Yeah. That what they were getting into. And I thought if only the people that was here would be okay to take their place. Because you could look at some of them, tell them that they weren't going to come back home. But when I got on the plane, I never did like ride a plane. I tried to get them, I told them I'd re-up, send me to Germany on a boat. They weren't doing it. No, he said, well, we'll keep you here for a while. I said, nuh-uh. I said, I ain't gonna re-up. And so I didn't. But as far as we got on the plane, and then we come on home. And I went to come into Bristol after I got into Bristol. My dad and mom wasn't that well off, you know. My dad was working, and my mom, you know, there's 7 of us kids, and there's all of us in the Army except 2 of us. All of us is 5 of us that served our time in the Army. But anyway, I come into Bristol, and I thumbed from Bristol home. There weren't nobody, you know, able to come get me.
Was it hard transitioning back into civilian life?
Well, yeah, it's pretty hard because you were jumpy and you was touchy. You have dreams. Well, I still have dreams and stuff, and I, I don't feel comfortable around certain people, you know. I feel like, you know, I just don't feel comfortable around them at all, because over there, they were people that even cooked for us. Like at Titty Mountain, they called it. They would cooking for us, and they would be stepping off around the bunkers at the base camp. One guy, they called him, and he was at the last bunker. He'd stepped it off and had a diagram of it, and had every foot. All the way down. He'd been in our cooking for us. They kept noticing him at dinner time. After dinner, he'd take walks, but he'd go between bunkers, you know, from here to here, and he had a diagram of it, and they caught him. And all he had to do was get it out to them, and they could set up when they started shooting their mortars in. And once they got the first mortar on the first bunker, they could just pop them right off. Because that you feel uncomfortable, you know, around certain people. And for me, I'm awful touchy about things, you know.
Were you at my film showing Saturday at the cinema?
No, I wasn't. I either somebody told me and I forgot,
Okay.
or something, but I weren't there. I wished I was, so.
Well, we're going to do another one here, but let me ask you this. Now, you fought in Vietnam, you've come home. Are you proud that you're a Vietnam vet?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. But you still think about all the guys got killed, and what happened really didn't accomplish nothing, as I'm thinking, but we showed actually people that we weren't afraid to do stuff, you know. You know what I'm saying? As far as doing things, but yes and no.
And you mentioned very few people have ever thanked you, if any, have thanked you for your service.
True. I mentioned that. Actually, there's one guy. A lot of people say, well, I'm glad you was in Vietnam, or blah, 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 you know, but I've had one guy actually come up and shake my hand and say, Rabbit, I'm proud of you. But, you know, people, you know, they talk, and, you know, so I heard you in Vietnam, yeah. And some of them are actually details, but I don't talk too much. But I thought, well, I'd just come up here and see what I could talk.
We're doing really good. You're doing great. What does the American flag mean and represent to you as a veteran?
As far as American flag, it means, as far as me, it means a whole lot, everything to me, as far as the flag. See, I got me a flagpole out there at the house, and fly flags, you know. But some people don't respect the flag, you know what I'm saying? But I do respect my flag, you know.
How about what do you think our country should remember about Vietnam?
That's a good question.
Is there anything we learned, or what do you think our young people should learn about Vietnam? Or
As far as,
it's a hard question.
a hard question to answer as far as what should they learn about Vietnam. They should learn to respect those who fought in Vietnam, and also that if they respect those that fought in Vietnam for their country, they will respect their country more, and as far as the people, the elders, they would respect them more. See? But as far as today, in my opinion, young people don't respect nothing. You know, I've got 2 kids, and I'm very thankful that they're both married, doing good, got their own place and everything, and each one's got a kid, you know, and they're both doing real good, you know. I may be a little hard on them when I was daddying, you know, but I think, well, I shouldn't have done this. Then I think, well, yeah, I should have, you know. And so I'm good with that, you know, as far as what I did and as far as my discipline toward them. They're doing real good. You probably know my daughter, Chrissy. She's at the airport.
I don't know if I do.
Okay, I didn't know where you flew in down here.
No, I flew. I didn't fly in here, but
Okay.
So what does she do at the airport?
She works at the airport. She's a secretary. She does it all. She will refill a plane, or she will scrape snow. I taught my girls to do as I do, but don't do it as destructive as I do it. You know? But they're both doing real good.
Are you still working?
No.
Are you retired from the military, or do you have disability of any sort with the military?
No, I'm sort of on retired and got disability too, see. When I was in a chopper crash, my back, see, I never did get nothing from Vietnam. I had malaria 6 times. I kept a temperature of 106 for 3 days. People don't believe that.
Wow.
They interviewed me every hour, trying to see where I was, who I was, and what I was, you know. And they would ask me all kinds, my daddy's name, my mama's name. They thought it was going to warp my brain. Actually, I can't remember things like I used to because I don't know what it's the cause of it, or I'm just ain't too smart. But anyway, you know, I had malaria about 6 times. And I've had 3 operations on my back.
Have you ever been to the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C.?
No, I haven't.
That's something you ever want to go to? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to go up there, yeah. I've seen it on TV and everything, but I haven't been there.
So are there sights, sounds, or smells that bring Vietnam back to you today?
Oh, definitely.
What are those?
It's like dead things, especially like deer when you kill it, skin it, pigs, certain odors. Certain people don't take baths. You know, you can smell it, and you can smell. I mean, you can smell flesh. You know, it's just dead things. Because I've seen a lot of dead gooks, as I call them, a lot of them, and it's got a certain smell or something of burning. Because a lot of them got burned up with napalm and stuff like that. You know. And we'd go out and hook ropes to them and, you know, just take our time because a lot of them would, when they was going to die, they'd put stuff under them. And, of course, you was wanting to see if it had any papers under them or anything. So that napalm would burn you. It wouldn't set you on fire, but it just burn you to death. I guess it eventually set you on fire. We'd tie ropes to them and get behind a tree and pull them over and stuff like that. That was bad. To me, I mean, it's.
Did you ever cry in Vietnam? The soldiers aren't supposed to cry, right?
Well, no, tell you the truth, I didn't. But I've got upset so bad that I thought I was gonna cry. You know, one of our guys crawled down in a hole. They'd got a bomb, and we was up on this hillside, and they'd found a bomb down in a hole. And our guys found it, and they were going to get it out. They sent one of our guys down in there to disfuse it, and there's gases. In other words, they got gases. The guy couldn't get out, and he died. And they called the chopper to come in, and they were going to get him. The chopper come in. I was sitting up on the ridge watching him. He come in, and I heard him on the radio. He said, "Is he still alive?" And they said, "No." And they said, "Well, that guy on the chopper," he said, "Well, we just pick up people that's alive. We don't pick up dead people." That right there run over me so bad. And eventually went and got him. I swear, as far as him, if I could have shot him, I would. But that right there run over me. He's in a chopper. Of course, his not one, was down in that there bunker dead. But they got him out, and he was trying to unarm something to keep them from getting to use against us. So he shouldn't have said that about, is he alive, or if he did, we don't pick up dead people. That's not right. But it's not feelings, it's anger crying, but it's not like, you're sad, lonely. I never was the type that would, because as a kid, our dad whooped us. I mean, we cried enough when I was a kid.
One more question here. How did Vietnam change you as a person? When you went in, you went through it, you came out, did it change you as a person? Were you happy when you went in? You were mean when you got out? How did it change you?
Well, the only way it changed me, I think, is I am more alert as far as who's around me and all, and as far as listening, instead of talking, I listen more. I listen to people more, especially, I go to bingo a lot, and I hear people talk, I just sit and listen. And, but as far as that, and I respect people who has been in the armed service, I don't care whether in war or what, And there's one thing that I think the United States done that they never should, is as far as the draft, young people used to be drafted, they go in, they come back and respect somebody and respect themselves and try to do better. But they quit that. And that was the worst thing they ever done for kids, and that hurt them because they should have kept that up. It didn't harm nobody, it didn't do nothing. As far as getting them in there and getting them the attitude that they should have for their nation and for their elders.
I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. At the end of my interviews, Rabbit, I have the veterans give me a salute into the camera. When I tell you, can you, from where you're seated, can you do that? Give me just a second here. Okay.
Should I take my hat off?
No, leave it on. Look right into the camera and go ahead. Okay, perfect.